Greetings, everybody, and welcome to day 5 of Crafty Co. Craftsmith Box. It's so exciting. I'm Amy from Amy Sews, Amy Bachman Sew and Quilt, and some of you may know me from Sew and Sell Cruise. So I'm doing a little crafting today because I'm a serial crafter and I love making jewelry. And so we're going to do a little bit of what's in bag number 5. Are you ready? Let's take a look. All right, here we go. It's bag number 5. Let's undo the magic zipper. Take a peek. What do we see? We see a box. It is beautiful, crystal pure UV resin. And if you're going to say, I've never done UV resin before, I have no idea, I'm going to help you out. And it is an amazing product to have on hand to craft with. So let's open the box. First thing, we have our box of a little bottle of our resin. And when I say this goes a long way, this goes a long way. So what can you resin? Anything. Wood, plastic, paper, fabric, you name it. And also, Crafty Co. included a UV light that has this little stand. If I can get it open, there we go. Right? An ultraviolet light. Which is a little stronger. When you get if you get acrylic nails done or dip nails done, it's all the same UV light. You're just going to plug it in. You're going to charge it with this USB charger. You're just going to put it into one of your USB bricks that you have, because we all have 10,000 different chargers laying around our house. And now you're going to say, but Amy, I don't know how. Well, that's why we're here. I'm going to show you how. And do you have to have a lot of stuff? No, you have stuff laying around your house, especially if you want to play and get started before you start to tackle jewelry or coasters or things that require a mold. So I ran around in the kitchen and I found a rogue lid. Now, the easiest way to do resin is if you do resin that has sides, right? So the resin doesn't leak out, or you aren't working too hard, and you're not going to have to unmold it. It's going to stay in here. So as you know, I'm a sewer, quilter, crafter. So I have a lot of things laying around my sewing room that could make a cute coaster, because we always have a cup of coffee. We always have something when we're crafting, right? Before we get started, let me show you some of the things that I've done that we're going to be doing on the Crafty Cruise. All right, first things first. This is, where's my camera? There's a little bit of shine from the lights, but it's a bezel. This is called a bezel because it has a frame around it. And this has the resin cured it. There's a little starfish in there. There's some little bit of ground mica, which looks like gold. And then I tinted the resin, right? So it's a little more than a beginner project. This is the official cruise project right here. This pendant everybody gets to make. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Well, too late now. Sorry. We're going to be making that. And it doesn't matter like what you put in it. It's so cool. Now, this is a bracelet I made that fits absolutely nobody but maybe a Barbie doll. And it's done in layers. Can you see the seahorses in there? The seahorses. And there's a piece of fabric behind it, so it makes it kind of dark. It has a lot of depth to it. So resin is a lot of fun. This is a watch charm that goes on side of your watch. And there's my puppy. Well, he's not mine. He's my grand dog. That's Yeti, the black lab. And this is kind of creepy, but dog moms will understand, or dog dads will understand. That is a little piece of scrapbook paper in there. And there's some of Yeti's hair in there. So it's a nice little memorial thing. I don't recommend, well, you can put anything you want in there, I guess. Doesn't matter. I was going to say, you don't want to put your loved one's hair in there unless they're, gone, so to speak. All right. So we're going to play with some resin. I'm going to explain some things. Resin is a very, very sticky product. Okay. If you get resin on your hands or resin on your tools, whatever you're going to do, what I want you to do is go to your kitchen, put a little tablespoon of baking soda and a big squirt of Dawn dishwashing. And before you go to the water, you're going to run this all over your hands, anywhere where there's resin, and then you're going to rinse it out, right? So there's some sort of like a little bit of a chemical reaction, helps break up some of the molecules in the resin. Have a clean work surface, something that you can roll up. Make sure you put a piece of plastic down or something. If you're very, very sensitive, you might want to use gloves and maybe a mask. I like to live a little bit dangerous, right? So the resin, I actually soaked it in a cup of warm water just for a minute. When it's warm, it flows nice, not hot. When it's warm, it flows nice and it keeps the bubbles down. Bubbles are the bane of your existence here. If you do get bubbles, you got to get a butane torch, sometimes called a creme brulee torch. You can get them in any store and just kind of, it's like a click and a heavy flame comes out. And you just real quick blow over it and it takes the bubbles away. So now that my wet resin is warm, just going to dry it off. Okay, I have my light charging, which is important. Bag out of the way. I probably need to put my glasses on because that's important. And remember, we talked about like the bezel in the jewelry, right? The bezel. What makes this kind of easy is because the resin has nowhere to go. It's encased. This is the same thing here. You can use a mason jar lid, something from your home. Now, remember I told you I was a sewer and a crafter. I'm going to put this plate down so I'm getting on my sewing table. And I'm just going to gently squeeze and just put a thin coat on the bottom, just so there's enough for something to stick. Popsicle sticks, barbecue skewers, anything along those lines. I'm just going to kind of make sure I have it. Now, if you stir too much, what are you going to get? Bubbles. So bubbles, remember we talked about, are not healthy for us because you see them in your resin. I'm just trying to smooth this out. Popsicle stick probably would work a little better because it would have room to put that out. Now I get to decide what do I want in my coaster. That's kind of fun. First of all, if you are a sewer and if you have a thread drawer, you know exactly what kind of thread nests you have laying around your sewing room. So I'm just going to kind of stir my threads up to get them kind of captured so they're going to lay flat for me. Does that make sense? We're just coating them like tossing pasta, right? And then I'm just going to spread them out. Again, you probably have more than one barbecue skewer laying around. Yellow wouldn't be my favorite color for this. I would like, if you have a mason jar lid that's gold or silver, that probably would be a little prettier. But this is just some fun, just so you can make it without buying anything. And then you can decide, boy, I love this hobby. I hate this hobby. I want to do something else. So what's the next thing I can add in here? Well, I have a bunch of random buttons, right? You can put buttons, beads. I'm just going to spread them around because once you get resin on your hands, it really is like, I can't equate it to anything, but it's sticky and everything you touch just sticks to you. So I would really probably add more for the sake of, making it totally awesome. But we are just going to, and hope these threads lay down nicely. We're just going to stir this up a little bit, and then we're going to add another coat of the resin. And I just want to cover my, now this is an exaggerated size. I probably made, 8 pieces of jewelry, a coaster. I made something else. The watch charms. There is a lot of resin here. What you don't want to do is shake. You want to be deliberate with where you put it. And like all things liquid, it finds level. Like if you put a glass of water, it'll tell you instantly if your table's level or not, because that's what it likes. So I'm going to push my threads down. See if I can get everybody in the pool here and make it flat. Trying not to stir because I don't want bubbles anywhere. Getting my buttons mashed in there. Now what I can do is I can go right to my resin lamp, and you can do this in layers, especially if you're worried about things floating away. Like if I worry about the my buttons kind of floating up, I'm just going to choose my UV light here. I'm just going to let it sit. I'm probably going to have to do half and half So I'm going to let this cure for 5 minutes, kind of on each side. Then we'll come back and we'll add another layer. All right, so it's kind of cured, right? So I know my buttons aren't going to move, my thread isn't going to move. And now I'm going to add another layer of the resin thoughtfully and carefully. Now this is too big of a lid. I'm just going to tell you, I'm here in my studio and I wasn't pre-thinking what to put it in, but you would not make something quite this big as your first project because you want to save some of your resin. So if I filled this whole thing up, it probably would take all of my resin, which I don't want to do. All right, now I have a few air bubbles. It's hard for you to see, but I'm just gonna kind of poke them with my skewer. This is where that butane torch comes in. Some of you might not be thrilled by using a butane torch, but you know, all things with caution. And I think that's, you know, a good thing. We want to take you out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? Like you just can't like do one craft your whole life. You got to do every craft under the sun. All right, so we are at the end of our bottle. I would start with maybe a pop bottle lid or something a little bit smaller, just so you can practice. Right, so we got our bubbles out. Now there are mica powders you can stir in. There's dyes you can stir in your resin if you want it to have a color to it. But I'm just going to leave that just the way it is. And just so you can see, I cured a piece of resin just on that plate. Any non-porous surface you can do this to, right? So if it's a photograph or fabric, I do a little bit of Mod Podge on it first, so it just kind of gets it where it is. But this is all it is. It makes hard plastic. And I know you've been places where you've seen like resin art that's outstanding, and then you go like, oh, look at that blown glass. Well, it's probably not. It's probably resin. So again, I'm going to cure this. I'm just going to turn my light on. There's a little switch on the side. I'm just going to cure this. It doesn't take long, depending on your climate. Like if you live somewhere where it's humid, it may take a little bit longer. If you're dry and hot and the sun's out, if it's a little tacky, by all means, just set it in the sun. If you're that fortunate, I'm in Western Pennsylvania. I won't see sun now until May, I think. So I'm just going to let this cure and then I'm going to pop back on so you can see how cool it is.
Hey guys, happy day number 5. Isn't Amy the best? Let's get back to her.
All right. It is all cured. Now it's very warm because there's a chemical reaction happening. That's why I was kind of always protect my surface. But you can see how nice and pretty that is. So there you go. You've just made a beautiful coaster for your sewing crafting room using the Crafty Co resin and UV light. How cool is that? Don't be afraid to stretch yourself. Try something and enjoy your resin because resin crafting can take you a whole different way. It's just fun. That's all I can say. So hopefully you're joining me on Crafty Co Cruise and we can resin some jewelry together. I'm Amy from Amy Sews.